Hello again from my front porch, where the sun continues to be my nemesis. You know, it's funny. I don't know if it's just because I'm home more because we've been grounded again because of COVID. So my work traveling has been suspended for a while again, which I'm okay with. But I don't know if it's just because I'm home more, and so I think to do these at different times during the day, and so the sun isn't on places, or if it's just the time of year, the season that where it's at. I don't know what it is, but it seems like every time I want to come out now and do one, the sun is in one of the worst possible spots, and so I put the camera here because if I put it anywhere else, it's like I'm off here in the shadows somewhere in the windows. And someone told me, Paul, you could really fix that problem if you just put up some curtains. Yeah, I suppose, but then I'd have to use the light here inside and it wouldn't look as good. The sunshine, I do prefer the sunshine, except at times like this where it makes it difficult. So here I am leaning forward a bit because if I sit straight up, I don't know, who is that masked man? But anyway, some people would stress about even this here right now. I just want to do my video and the stupid sun and the windows and they would get worked up about that. And honestly, I used to be that kind of person too. I used to be. I still consider myself to be a passionate individual, and when I take up a cause, I put myself into it. I don't know if it's maturity or experience or getting smacked enough times you finally sinks in your head. But one thing that I have finally come to terms with is, Paul, you can't do everything. You can't take on the entire world, and so I am now much more restrained in what I volunteer for. And that's a good thing because, there was a time where I would always joke that if I was at a meeting or a conference or something and somebody was asking for volunteers, I would literally have to sit on my hands because if I didn't, I would be one of the first people going, yep, pick me, I can do it, I can help. It's just like I just have this drive. I have to do stuff. I have to be involved. I have to help. And it's not such a bad thing per se, but it can burn you out real fast if you let yourself get too wrapped up in doing that kind of stuff. But even more than being active and getting too involved in things is holding on to things too. A lot of people get burned out. They develop a bitterness in their heart. They hold an animosity towards specific people, towards people groups, towards just concepts that defy reason, that defy logic, that defy any kind of rational thought, because it's emotion driven, and that's what emotions do. But increasingly, well, I don't know if I even say increasingly. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention as much before, or maybe I was justifying my own weaknesses in this area. But I have noticed a lot of people around me who have trouble letting go, who have trouble with when something has impacted them in especially in a negative way, of just going, you know what, not going to hassle with it, move on. I see more, I was going to say more and more people. I'm aware of more and more people is the way I should say it, because it may have always been the same quantity of people. I just was oblivious. In fact, again, I was one of them. But I am aware of more and more people who just simply cannot let go. When something happens, now understand, I'm not sitting here claiming sainthood. There are still a few topics. There are small number of people, but there are people who, if you mention their name, or if I were to run into them just randomly out traveling somewhere, I would absolutely not want to interact with them. I wouldn't want to talk to them, and in fact, they might not want me to interact with them either because of how I might react. I know for some of you would be saying, "Oh no, it'd be fine, Paul. No." I'm telling you, these are people who they elicit a strong response in me because of things that have happened in the past. And don't try to guess who they are, because I'm not going to tell you. You might be watching going, is it me, Paul? Am I one of them? Trust me, if you're one of them, you'd already know. Anyway, people have trouble with with disconnecting those things, and it becomes a cancer that eats. And I don't use the term cancer loosely. It's a very serious thing, but it's descriptive. It is absolutely descriptive of what this is like. It's emotionally, your personality, your attitude. It becomes something that just eats you from inside, that attacks your body from inside, and it just poisons you and turns you into somebody that I don't think anybody ever sets out to be. And where I really now see this starkly on display is politics. I used to be rabid in politics. I was very right wing. I was Mr. Republican, and then I ran for office and saw behind the curtain. And that began my journey into cynicism. And so now I'm a registered independent. Now, there are still a lot of things that I think conservative on, but there are quite a few things I think more liberal on too. So I defy being lumped into either category, unless you look at it just from one, if you're just one issue kind of thing. How do you feel on that issue? Oh, well, then you're liberal. Oh, well, then you're conservative, whatever. But as a whole, I am a tough person to put into a category, because my views are not based in political philosophy. My views are based in humanity, in what makes sense in logic and what makes sense for people. I don't really care about the political philosophy that it might line up with, but I digress. My point being, I long ago shed that baggage of being, passionate about a narrow political mindset view. But I still have a number of friends who are right and left. And my Facebook feed is filled with those. And I see them on Twitter too. And I even see a few on LinkedIn, which is, I think, a little inappropriate. That's not really what LinkedIn's for, but still, you have to forgive my sniffles. No COVID, nothing here. It's just for whatever reason, the weather now has really kicked up my sinuses. And so I had to take my sinus medication to alleviate some sinus headache, which when that kicks in, it starts to make my nose run a little bit. So I'm dealing with that now at the moment. Sorry. But anyway, in the world of politics, it's becoming so diverse that people literally carve out their battle lines. We are this army and you are that army, and we battle, and there is no man's land, there is no middle ground, there is no armistice. We are eternally locked in battle now because you are evil and we will defeat you. And the problem is, there used to be a time where people would passionately battle politically, but when the election was done, then they'd be like, well, it sucks that we didn't win. Congratulations to you for winning. And we're gonna give you all the support we can. We're also gonna be watching you. Make sure you're not, messing things up too badly. We're gonna be holding your feet to the fire. But good luck, congratulations, you won. And we'll see you again at the next ballot box, and we'll try to change it. Used to be that kind of what they would call a gentlemanly agreement, approach to things. That's all out the window. And it's not just Donald Trump. People like to say, well, because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not the cause. If anything, he is the result, because it's us, it's people who have let this stuff happen, where we have allowed ourselves to get sucked into these camps where we battle with each other and we name call and we accuse and attack. And then when the election's done, we don't give it up. We continue on that. We continue to belabor. And no, this is not a hidden jab at Trump for challenging the election stuff. In fact, I want to do a different video on that. Honestly, I'm actually not a critic of him for pushing the challenges that he's pushing. It's totally within his right to do, but that's a whole different topic. But that aside, just politics in general, people now, we get that ingrained into us, that my side has that monopoly on honesty and truth and logic and freedom and justice and blah, 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 which means your side has to be completely wrong in every respect possible. And I so ingest that when election is done, I'm still living that. I'm still holding on to that, and I'm still seeing you through that prism. I'm looking at you through that lens. And it's totally unfair because, I mean, number one, nobody that I've ever met actually fits a category. There are a few who come really close, but most people, their independent brains kick in more than just being a lemming for one side or the other. Now, again, if you go to specific issues, that's a whole different matter. I've seen people be very lemming related on a specific issue. But in general, when it comes to actually looking at the world, I don't know anybody who just cleanly fits to one side or the other. But that's not the point here. The point here is when we don't like something, when something happens that upsets us, when something happens that doesn't go the way that we wanted it to go, how do we respond? Too often, I'm seeing people responding by still clinging to what they wanted, denying the reality of that somebody else may have a good idea also, and continuing to harbor that, to continue to let that fester. And as a result, I see friendships suffer. I see family relationships suffer. I see jobs get lost. I see businesses suffer because, the top level leader of this company made this statement on this specific issue, so let's all boycott the company. You're not punishing that leader. You're punishing your neighbors who work at the local store because you're driving business away and they're going to wind up losing their jobs. Oh, good for you. Boy, did you make a point. But guess what? You didn't change that leader's mind at all. In fact, if anything, you only reinforced in their mindset the opinion that they have because of how you went, the destructive way that you went about doing it. So, as a side note, that's why I don't really support boycotts either. But, my challenge to you, stop and think about the things where you might be upset about something right now, where you might be frustrated about something, and check yourself. Are you holding that against other people? And then maybe they don't even know it. If that's the case, it's poisoning you. It's making you not yourself inside. You gotta let it go. I've learned to let that stuff go, and I'm living a much happier life. You can do it too. And with that, I'll see y'all next time from my front porch.